What's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Worthington, Bowie High School alum, class of 2016. After I graduated from Bowie, I went to Austin Community College, Texas State University, and Texas A&M Corpus Christi to get my master's. Since that time, I've worked in dental sales, I've started an apartment locating company, and just recently published a book. I've been recognized by my company on a national scale. I've been on radio shows all across the country. I've started a scholarship foundation at Austin Community College, and just recently celebrated nearly 5 years of sobriety. But I share this not to boast or brag. I share this not to show off, but to tell you I'm just a local kid. I walk these halls just like you guys are. I sat in these same seats. I grew up in Oak Park here in South Austin. I went to Burger Stadium and Whataburger on Friday nights, Double Dave's on Tuesdays, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, Torchy's Tacos during my off periods. And I'm just like y'all. And I didn't start off any differently. But what got me from where you're sitting today to where I am standing is when I graduated from high school, I changed my mentality and told myself I was going to do things differently. I didn't want to follow the crowd. I didn't want to be like everybody else because I had a dream. A dream to help others and a dream to give back. And I told myself when I made it, I'd come back with one goal at hand, and that's to help show y'all the way. This mentality helped me in the same 4 years that you're about to embark on, the same 4 years that we all commonly know as the college experience, the same 4 years that your parents, your teachers, and your mentors have prepared you for the last 16, 17, and 18 years of your life. And it was in these 4 years I was able to graduate from college debt-free, get ahead, and get where I am today. But look, I wasn't anything special in high school. I wasn't the captain of the football team or the drum major of marching band. I wasn't the president of student council. I was just another average kid. And I remember being in your shoes just a couple of years ago, sitting where you're sitting, and I was swiping through Instagram. I was talking to my friends on Snapchat, zoned out. I didn't care. I didn't want to listen to this guy tell me about the things that would help me in the next 4 years of my life. And I know that half of you probably don't want to be here right now or you were forced to come, but I promise you, if you just listen to me the next 30 minutes, you'll never look at college the same. You'll realize high school is temporary. And the next 30 years of your life will be made a lot easier if you just listen. So I got a question. How many of you guys are planning on going to college? Let me just get a show of hands. Okay, keep your hands up if you plan on paying for college yourself. And are any of you guys taking out student loans? Anybody? Well, even if you're not planning on going to college, or even if your parents are planning on paying for it for you, even if you think you have it all figured out, you need to listen to what I'm about to tell you, because the crazy thing about life is things happen and there are no guarantees. So regardless of what you think or you know, this applies to each and every one of you. Because there's something that colleges don't tell you. A little something called debt and interest that they don't talk about. A little something that can turn a little money into a lot of money if you choose to brush it off. Not money that you earn, but money that you owe, and money that's going to hurt you later down the line. And for those of you who don't know, debt is borrowing money to pay for something you want or need. You can take out a loan and go into debt to pay for a house or a car or a wedding ring. But here in just a couple months, most of you or your parents are going to be taking out a loan to pay for your college. But what colleges don't tell you is the money that you take out for school carries interest. What this means is after you graduate, the money you take out grows and it gets larger and larger. And here in the United States, the average interest rate on student loans is 4.66%. So say you took out $25,000 every year for the next 4 years. That's $100,000 after you graduate. Well, after you graduate, you get a 6-month grace period before you have to start paying back that loan. But from the day you graduate, the interest starts tacking on to that amount, and it gets larger and larger. So say it took you 10 years to pay off that $100,000. Well, now you really owe $125,000, and that's paying over $1,000 a month. Say it takes you 20 years to pay off that amount. Well, now it's $140,000. And say you're like some of your parents and it's taken you 25 to 30 years to pay off your student loans, paying over $500 a month. Well, now that amount is actually $185,000 that you owe. This is ridiculous. And I don't think that any of you want to be paying $500 a month for the next 30 years. And if you think this is crazy, then watch this next video. It's even crazier.
No matter what you do in life, no matter what dreams you chase, if you have a degree to fall back on, you're always safe.
Financing college is very tough for millions of Americans.
So guys, this is crazy. But what you need to realize is you need to go to college because it's vitally important. Education is a must. You need that safety blanket. You need that diploma in your back pocket. Because I'm telling you, your life will be a lot easier if you have a college degree. It'll be a lot easier to find a job after you graduate if you go to college. Just look at this slide. It says everything. The difference between not going to college and just graduating from high school is a difference of $25,000 or potentially $50,000. But even if you decide to go to a vocational school like a trade school or a tech school, or even if you go into an apprenticeship or fellowship program, you still must be intentional with your decision making because there will be likely hidden costs that you're going to have to pay for. So with that said, you can't accept that graduating from college with debt is okay. You can't accept that taking out a loan is okay. You can't accept that finishing school with $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in debt is normal. Guys, it's time to change this narrative, and only you can do something about this. But the epidemic won't change unless you change the way you look at it. You got to shift your mindset. But why should you listen to me? Well, because I graduated not owing a single penny to anybody. I have no debt. I have no interest accruing. I have no student loans to pay off, and I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. All I did was shift my mindset and follow a couple key principles that changed my life, that helped me graduate debt-free, and that helped me get here today. But you know what? It wasn't always like this. I had my fair share of struggles, my fair share of setbacks, and my fair share of problems. You see, I came from modest beginnings, blessed but humble, a family of 6, 2 sisters, 1 brother, and happily married parents. I played sports, I had a lot of friends, I traveled across the globe. The only difference was the fact that my dad was paralyzed. On a late drunken night in his 20s, my dad was riding in the passenger seat without a seatbelt. His fraternity brother was driving the car going nearly 60 miles an hour. He was intoxicated. At about 4 o'clock in the morning, he veered off the side of the road, hit a utility pole. My dad flew through the front windshield and severed his spine, paralyzed from the neck down. After meeting my mom overseas, getting married, and moving to Austin, my parents started a family, and they did all they could to provide us kids with all the things a kid could dream of, and it was more than enough. And I had everything a kid could ask for, but guys, the fact that my dad was in a wheelchair messed with my head. He could do everything a classic able-bodied dad could do. He could grill burgers in the backyard. He could go hunting and fishing. He could crack corny dad jokes. But it always felt different. And I always felt like I got the short end of the stick. I wasn't sure how other kids thought about his disability, how other kids thought about me. I always felt less than. I had this ongoing victim mentality. And as I got older, it was hard for me to get past this. As I got to high school, I started to think that I deserved something from the world. I started to think the world owed me something for being different. As a kid, I couldn't see the big picture. I couldn't see all that I was lucky to have, or even the positives that came with having a dad that was paralyzed, and I was stuck on being different. You see, my family loved me, my friends loved me, my teachers loved me, my neighbors loved me, but there was one huge problem. And it was I didn't love myself. Feeling different made me feel lonely, and when you feel lonely, you feel empty, and when you feel empty, you question life. And despite having a wonderful childhood, I created this idea in my mind that I had it hard because my dad was in a wheelchair, and I didn't think that others would understand that and others would understand my pain. Feelings of self-doubt began to grow inside my head. I felt judged, I felt less than, I felt inferior, and it was hard for me to accept that being a little different was okay. But instead of realizing how lucky I was, I chose to put up a guard and act like it wasn't bothering me. Like many of us, I was dealing with something on the inside. I was hurting, but I showed up to school every day with a fake smile, with a fake mask on my face when I knew it was all a lie. And I needed an escape, so I started looking for it in superficial things, and that's when I started to drink. You see, alcohol was a way for me to feel more secure. It was a way for me to silence my shyness, silence my pain. Drinking allowed me to mask my low self-esteem and my insecurities. It was a way for me to mask that empty feeling I had inside. It got to the point with drinking that I liked it so much that I put alcohol before the people I loved, before the things I enjoyed to do, before the person I always wanted to be. It was something that I could always fall back on after a long day. After I did bad on a test or got into a bad breakup or did bad on some sort of school assignment, I could go home and have a drink and it would make me feel better. Everything would be okay. And by the time I hit senior year, I started drinking every chance I got. At 17 years old, I realized I had a problem, and being so young, I was ashamed. And I didn't want to tell anybody about it. And this shame lowered my self-esteem even more. I started to tell myself I was a no-good scumbag alcoholic. I felt like I'd become every parent's worst nightmare. I was inconsiderate, I was selfish, I was discontent. I put my friends through a lot. my family through a lot, the people that loved me through a lot. But I was too proud to reach out. I graduated from high school and went off to college thinking that this big transition would shake the urge to drink. But no, it got worse. And it took waking out from a blackout my freshman year of college, going 120 miles an hour, to realize that I was ruining my life. I remember being ready to crash, not because I had lost control, but because I wanted to. I didn't feel like I mattered, and I was tired of putting on a fake mask. I was tired of putting on a fake front, tired of hurting, tired of my alcohol abuse. One bump, one diversion, one wrong move, car flipped, life over. And I was okay with that. Because I wanted to put myself out of my misery. I was tired, I was exhausted, and I didn't want to be here anymore. And the next thing I knew, there were red and blue lights behind me. I was getting pulled over. And for the next 18 hours, I spent time behind bars. I slept on a thin blue cushion on the cold concrete floor and ate cold cornbread and just wished that someone would pick up my collect calls, and it was awful. But what was even more awful was my mindset, because all I wanted to do in that moment was drink. All I wanted to do in that moment was put more alcohol in my system. The only thing that could make things better was if I had more tequila and vodka in my system. And you see, at just 18 years old, a few months after leaving these doors, a few months after sitting where you're sitting, I was held captive by alcohol, and my dependency on it was so severe I felt crippled without it. Alcohol was my friend, my buddy, my supporter, my crutch, and I felt like without it I'd fall. But you see, the scary part was the more trouble alcohol got me in, the more I wanted to drink, but the more I drank, the more my problems were amplified. It was a deceptive cycle. I never felt like it would end. And as time went on, it got harder and harder to see a way out. The light was fading, my thoughts got darker, I couldn't escape those bad thoughts. I felt trapped inside my own head, and every day was a constant struggle and battle to find happiness. I was truly hurting on the inside, I couldn't see a way out, and I was near my breaking point. But you see, it wasn't always like that. I used to love the drink, it was a casual thing. I grew up with the mindset and the mentality that going out on Friday and Saturday nights and smoking pot and drinking beer was normal. That's what everybody did. And I sat in those same seats listening to a speaker speak just like I'm speaking to you, and like Chris Heron talks about in his stories, I had the nerve to think I was above that. I had the nerve to think I was better than that I've heard these stories 1,000 times and it just doesn't pertain to me. I could never be that person up on stage talking about the things he struggles with or his issues or his problems. That could never be me. But I used this innocent thing they call alcohol as an answer to my problems, and that's where I went wrong. I had a love-hate relationship with alcohol. I loved that it helped me forget the troubles of the day, but hated that I relied on it to do so. I loved that it helped me numb my pain, but hated that I was hurting. I loved that it made me feel confident in my own skin, but hated that I wasn't without it. And ultimately, it was a battle. And it was this battle with alcohol that led me to the darkest place I'd ever been. And I'd be lying if I told you there was some big grand moment that helped me change my thinking, that helped me change my life and helped me get clean, but there wasn't. I just woke up one morning and told myself I was tired of being sick and tired of my alcohol abuse, tired of hurting the people that were closest to me. And since that day, I cut alcohol out of my life cold turkey. But guys, I tell you this because I'm lucky to still be here. I tell you this because I know everyone has their issues at home, their issues with their family, their issues at school. Everybody is hurting and going through something right now that nobody else knows about. Some of us don't have a dad, or some of us have an aunt with cancer or a niece that just recently passed away. Some of us know someone who's died from COVID. We struggle with bad anxiety. We have depression. Some of us have a terrible problem of comparison. And some of us feel worthless. And you know what? Some of us just don't want to be here anymore. Some of us are so lost that we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and our life just keeps getting darker and darker. And if that's you, I know what it's like to be where you're at. You may feel left out, you may feel different, you may feel lonely, you may feel like you don't fit in, like you're lost, or you don't know who you are. You may feel like you're not beautiful, or you don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life, or what you want to study in college. Guys, it's a lot. I get it. Senior year is a lot. You all have this pressure weighing down on you, and it's stressful. Senior year is fun, but as you get closer to graduation, it gets stressful. Everyone is going through a storm right now that nobody else knows about. Everyone is facing their own battle right now that nobody else knows about. Everyone is going through something right now that nobody else knows about. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your classmates you love them, and encourage them to share what they're struggling with, because your kindness could be the difference that saves their life. Whatever it is you're dealing with, be an open book, because I promise you, vulnerability is the strongest thing that you can do. Right now in this day and age, mental health is a problem we got to talk about. We need to love one another. We need to take care of one another. And we need to be there for one another. And what y'all got to realize is my story is your story. Because we all have our struggles, we all have our problems, and we are more alike than we are different. Our stories connect us, and that's what brings us closer together. The one thing that is very similar about both about my story and whatever it is you're dealing with is this: hope. Whatever it is you're going through right now, there's hope for a better tomorrow, and hope is what helped me change my life. Hope gave me the realization that getting a DWI, spending time in jail, and losing the people closest to me were the wake-up calls I needed. It wasn't the best way to start college, but at least these experiences helped me grow. I may have been knocked back to the starting line, but at least this time I was running in the right race. My rock bottom allowed me to take the first steps in the right direction. I could finally start the rest of my life. Guys, maybe I'm here because one of you needed to hear this today. Maybe I'm here to give you hope that there will be better tomorrows, that you are loved, that you are special, that you matter. Maybe I'm here because of that. Or maybe I'm here to tell you that life is not supposed to be easy, that life isn't perfect, that life is hard, but that's what makes it beautiful because we experience the lows together. And what brings us together is getting to taste the highs. Maybe I'm here to tell you it's not what you go through that matters, but how you respond to the lows that matters more, what you do with your story that matters more, what you do with your pain and how you overcome it that matters more. We're all writing our own book right now. You're writing a page in your own book right now. And after this chapter closes and as a new one opens, what is your story going to be about? Feeling bad for yourself and letting your past faults define you? Having a continuous, ongoing victim mentality? Or beginning to tell yourself that you're loved, you're worthy, you're beautiful, and capable of achieving anything you wish to have in this world? I want you to think about this as you watch this next video.
Success is incredibly important, but even more important than success, it's having an impact. It's knowing you haven't walked the planet in vain. It's knowing that because you've been here, you've blessed lives, you've developed people, and you have made the world a better place. The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart. Life is a mirror, and life gives us not what we want. Life gives us who we are. When you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice.
Guys, I share this video because I want to have an impact on y'all. I'm up here because I care about you guys. I want to help you in the next 4 years of your life. College isn't easy, but it can be made a lot easier if you just pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. And what you need to realize, too, is that you have the opportunity to have an impact as well. With the money you save by graduating from college debt-free, imagine what you can do with that extra $40,000, $50,000, or $60,000 to touch other lives. Imagine how you can use all that extra money to make an impact, how you can use all that extra money to make a difference. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the money we make, but how we use that money to change lives, to help others, and to give back. If you want more, give more. That's the key. Giving is the key to getting everything you want in life. The most generous person in this room will be the most successful person. Don't you ever forget that. I guarantee you that'll happen. And maybe your impact can help you give back so you too have a scholarship to help someone in need. And maybe your scholarship can help someone out there who has a story just like you. Because I promise you there's no greater feeling than helping someone else get an education and achieve their dreams. So I know that some of you might not be planning on going to college right now, but maybe in a few years you will. You might have parents planning on paying for your tuition, but what if we face another pandemic and they lose their job? You might have it all figured out, but you know what? We can't predict the future, and things change, so pay attention because the next 5 things I talk about applies to each and every one of you. There are 5 things that will help you graduate from college debt-free. The first one is going to community college. Many of you probably have no idea what you want to do with the next 30 years of your life, what you want to study, or maybe even what you like. Going to Austin Community College buys you a lot of time. The first 2 years are basics anyway, so why go to a big 4-year university and spend thousands of dollars extra when you can go to one of the best community colleges in the country right here in Austin? Look, I understand you want the college experience. I understand you want to get away from home and be on your own for the first time. I understand you don't want to be the high school hero and stay here in Austin. I get that, trust me. But I guarantee you it's worth it. For those of you who need a second chance to mature and grow, to get better grades, community college is the way to go. For those of you who didn't take high school seriously and couldn't get the grades to get into the school of your dreams, you get a second chance to improve your GPA and reapply. And if you think that going to community college is going to hurt you when interviewing for jobs once you graduate, I promise you that's not true. The truth is few employers, if any, even notice if applicants went to community college. All they care about is that you ended up at a 4-year university. And hear this, just 17% of community college students take out student loans, whereas 48% of 4-year university students take out student loans. Guys, I promise you it's worth it. Next, transfer into an affordable school. If you were to ask your friends or your neighbors the most important factor in choosing a school, you get all kinds of answers, like the name recognition, the size of the dorms, the success of the football program. But let me just break it down for you. When it comes to choosing a school, the only relevant factor is if you can go without taking out student loans. Find a school you can afford, stay in state, stay close to home, and don't go to a private university. This might mean adjusting your expectations about going to a certain dream school, and I'm not here to discourage you from pursuing your dreams. And I get you want to go to school in California. I get you want to go to a private university like Baylor. I get you want to be 400 miles away and be a Texas Tech Raider, but going $60,000 in debt is not worth it, I promise you that. Number 3, live at home. If you don't go to community college, you're not going to like this one any better, but I'm telling you it's important. Don't live on campus, it's too expensive. Living in dorms is overrated, I promise you that. It's too expensive to live on your own. For many of us, the largest expense in going to college is the cost of room and board, but there's an easy way to eliminate this for some big savings. Live at home, commute to your classes, take classes online, and live with your parents. You do this, you'll save thousands of dollars, and trust me, I get it. You don't want to be at home, and you might not be thrilled with this. You're looking forward to more independence, but just a few extra years under the same roof as your parents is worthwhile, I promise you. I have a Step Brothers video, but it's not going to play. But I promise it was funny. Number 4, credit hour overload. Students who can balance several classes should consider a credit hour overload. Instead of taking 4 classes per semester, which is considered full-time, you can take 5 or 6. This will allow you to graduate in 3 to 3.5 years rather than 5 to 6 and save anywhere between $10,000 to $50,000 over your time during college. And last, you got to work your tail off. That's a given. But assuming you're going to work anyway, why not work somewhere that's going to help you pay for your college? Companies like Home Depot, Best Buy, Chipotle, they will give you money to help pay for your tuition. Chipotle will give you $5,250 a year or $21,000 over a 4-year period if you just work 15 hours a week. It's a great option. And if you don't want to work here, then just do some research because there are plenty of companies out there that do this too. You just need to find them. So guys, I know this is a lot to think about. I know this might not be what you wanted to hear today. I know this might add a little extra pressure, but it's important to start thinking about what's next and understand how college can affect you the next 20 to 30 years of your life. College debt will be a battle, an obstacle, a struggle, but it doesn't have to be this way forever. If you take control right now, if you take control the next 4 years, the rest of your life will be made a lot easier. So I ask you this. High school is going to be over in 4 months, 1 week, and 2 days. You're going to leave these seats forever. You're going to leave these halls forever. And you're going to start the next chapter of your lives. And you must make a decision. With the time you have left, what are you going to do? Where are you going to decide to go? How are you going to better prepare yourself for the next 4 years of your life? And for those of you listening, I want you to ask yourself this: are you going to follow the crowd, or do you have the courage to do things differently? Because the point is, you don't know who's watching you, who's following you, who wants to be like you. So be the role model, be the difference maker, be the trailblazer, walk your own path and let others follow. Don't follow the crowd. Because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the status quo are usually the ones that do. So have the courage to be different. And it's only up to you to change the narrative of graduating with thousands of dollars in debt. It's up to you to change this narrative of being different. And only you can muster the courage to be exceptional. But do you have what it takes? So I ask you this: do you have the courage to be different from the crowd? The courage to go to community college, to live at home, to transfer into an affordable school, and the courage to walk your own path so that you can graduate from college debt-free? When you get home tonight, I want you to talk to your parents about your next steps. Talk to them about what you heard about today and ask them if it's on you to pay for college yourself. And then make a game plan using the 5 principles we just talked about. And remember that you can graduate from college without debt. You can beat the college debt epidemic. You can get a college education without taking any student loans. Bowie, there's just a few things I'll leave with you today. If I could go back and talk to my younger self, what would I say? I'd say it's not going to be easy. It'll never be easy, and it shouldn't be easy because nothing worthwhile having is easy. I'd say tomorrow is not guaranteed, so make every day a chance to tell someone you love them, to make a difference, and to enjoy the little things. I'd say work your butt off because a few years of sacrifice now will give you a lifetime of freedom. I'd say it's not who we were in the past, it's not who we were in high school, none of that defines us. What defines us is how we change and who we aspire to be. And I'd say only someone who comes from where you come from can tell you that you belong. And I've been in your shoes, I've walked these same halls, I've sat in those same seats, and each and one of you deserves a great life. Each and every one of you deserves to graduate from college debt-free, and each and one of you deserves to get ahead. And one last thing, if you didn't listen to anything from this speech, just pay attention to me right now. If you have a dream and you have good in your heart, don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. If you have a dream and you want to help other people, don't let anybody talk you out of it. If you have a dream and someone tells you that you can't do it, it's because they don't believe they can do it. And just because someone else can't, doesn't mean you can't. So believe in yourself, because it's not talent that gets you to center stage, it's audacity. Bulldog Nation, y'all been great. Thank you so much.